And Google and Apple and iHeartRadio.
Right. I really need to work.
Here we are back. All right. Hello, I'm Jerry McKee. And let me do a couple little things here because I've got to add something. And because if I don't add this, you're going to think, well, I thought he was going to have a commercial in there. So we're going to put a commercial in here. And sometimes you got to juggle when you can only so many screens you see. And here we go. Yeah, that's it right there. All right. All right. Welcome you here to Primetime with Jerry McKee, our special guest, Jonathan Stevens, musician, producer, writer. He does it all. And he's going to talk to us a bit how he got started in his music repertoire and how he writes music and where he gets his inspiration. And so we're going to find out a lot of different things. The background you hear is actually him singing, and not live right here. It's a little canned music I got off of his YouTube channel. I kind of ripped it off there for him. He let me. So we're going to be right back, and you can talk to Jonathan Stevens. I'm going to put a number up there, too, that you can call if you want to have questions to him. So right now, we're going to go to a commercial. We'll be right back. Let's go to our sponsor right here at Kirby's Cake Shop.
Union's #1 choice for sweets and dinner is Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 10 in the morning, closing at 5:30. Saturdays 9 until noon. 427-5779. Again, the number 427-5779. Baked spaghetti, salad, bread, dessert, and drink, a mere $9. Nathan's all-beef hot dog plate, 2 dogs all the way, a bag of chips and drink, $7. Taco salads, baked spaghetti, delicious cakes, cupcakes, cake squares, freshly baked and ready to go. Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union, 427-5779.
All right, we're back, and if you get hungry, and if that looked like it was good and hungry there, you can always go down to Kirby's Cake Shop and get you some wonderful desserts. But on that, they have lunch, they have catering, they have it all right there. All you got to do is go down and just mention Prime Time with Jerry McKee, and who knows, he might give you a donut. I'm not saying he will, but it might be a cupcake. Who knows? But we're here with Jonathan Stevens. I'm going to put some numbers up here. That way you can see who he is and who, you know who I am. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man.
Well, that's great. I'm going to a couple of questions I want to ask you just briefly. You know, I always ask every artist, when did you get your first guitar? Now, or was it drums? I know you play a little bit of everything on this instruments, but what was your first musical instrument that you really desired to have when you was little?
So, strangely enough, my first instrument was piano. Not that I wanted to take piano lessons or have my parents buy me a piano, but just growing up, my mom, there was 2 things consistent. No matter where we went to church, we always sat on the left side in the second pew, and my mother always played the piano. That was just always a thing, and so I just started watching her from a young age, and I'm pretty sure I wrote my first song on the piano before I was probably 8 or 9. I mean, it was terrible. It was not good. But of course, my mom was like, "Oh, you got to play it in church, and so that's where I started.
Well, moms want you to play things in church. They want to drag you up and say, "Okay, you got to show everybody." They want to show you off. Now, you say you wrote the piece yourself?
Yeah. Well, I
just kind of played.
I'm a very basic musician. I'm not very technical. I can't read music. I don't know theory or any of that. I know how to play enough chords on enough instruments to make a song, and that's about the end of it.
Now, so you started out with the piano, and you, looking at all the places you play and stuff like that, you had to have that passion inside of you when you first started playing that piano. Something had to click there for you to just to take on that music. And now you played. Did you get better at the piano?
Not much. I mean, I got a little better, but the piano was short-lived because at that same church where I started, after church, when your parents are talking with everybody, I'd go up there and play the piano.
Right.
Well, shortly after that, we got a new preacher. He was this young guy. His name was Jeff White, and we were like an old-school traditional church, but he brought a drum set. And at 10 years old, I saw him playing the drum set, and I fell in love with that.
Oh.
And so I started playing drums, and I started the wrong way because he was left-handed playing a right-handed kit, and I didn't know any better. So I started playing drums like I was left-handed. I didn't find out till a few years later when some other drummer was like, "Oh, you're left-handed?" I was like, "No, I'm right-handed." And he was like, "Well, why are you playing like a left-handed player?" And I was like, I didn't know this was a different way.
Well, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know there was a difference. I thought you just set them up there and just kind of, you just go at it like that. What makes the difference in the left and right?
So it's much like, how with guitars, they sell left-handed guitars.
Right.
Or you're a left-handed player who learns to play right-handed guitar. Same with drums. If you want to be a left-handed player playing drums correctly, your drum kit will be set opposite of everything you used to seeing on a drum kit. Everybody sees the kick, and then the snare, and then the toms go down and 2 cymbals. But if you were left-handed, playing proper, you would play the kick drum with your left foot instead of your right foot. So your snare would be on this side, toms go down that way, hi-hat's over here. And you would play cross-armed. Or you're a left-handed drummer playing right-handed kit, you play everything on this side with open hands, like this, which is how I started playing.
So you're, see, I'm learning a lot of stuff. I just thought you just kind of threw it up there and just go, and that's me. Now, that's because I'm not musically inclined as far as that goes. And I would think, well, this is just that there and beat on the drum and you just right here. But you really have to have your cymbals and all these things set up exactly how you're going to run it smoothly.
Well, it's different for each person. I've played with my cymbals high, low, toms higher, lower, just whatever the personal preference is.
Now, is the cymbals, are they different types of cymbals, different, I guess, keys?
I wouldn't say key, but definitely different tones. There's darker cymbals, there's louder cymbals, there's brighter cymbals. There's cymbals with little rivets in it so they jingle when you hit it. Okay. They're the most expensive part of a drum kit.
Oh, okay. Now, I've seen some that, I know where you hit the cymbals here, but I've seen one that you had a pedal that would make it go back and forth.
That'd be the hi-hat.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what it was called. I just know, well, that's pretty cool. Did yours have a cowbell?
No, I've never had a cowbell. Never had a cowbell.
Did you ever use a block? I've seen some just, use a click, block.
No, my first band was a Southern gospel band that I started playing in shortly after I started playing drums. So I guess I was 11-ish. And then my next band was like a church praise band, and then it was a punk rock band. So I never needed the big kit because I was touring, and the more I toured, the smaller I wanted my kit to be.
Well, because it's a lot of stuff you got to carry. I've watched some of these drummers that had a lot of equipment, and it's a lot because I have to carry out a lot of stuff sometimes, and I know it gets it's more than the music. Now, if you had some good roadies now, it would make a difference, would it?
Well, think about it like this: say you got a 3-piece band, a drummer, a bass player, and a guitar player. Say one of them sings. You're getting ready to set up for the show. The guitar player and the bass player, they bring in their guitar, they bring in their amp, and whatever pedals they're going to use. While the drummer's still unloading his floor tom, his rack toms, you got to set his cymbals up, you got to get your pedals on. It's a lot.
Right, and even including myself, I used to think, the drums was just the drum set, but you got to add sound sometimes to the drums. Different microphones, because in my microphones that I've been getting, sometimes that I see some that's for the drum, and I always thought, well, this is for the drum. Why is it, seem like they're loud enough that they don't need these things right here. And by the way, if you want to call and ask Jonathan any questions, you can call 864-441-9382, and he'd be glad to answer any questions. And so you just give him a call. And so, are there different microphones for the drums?
Yeah, a lot of times they're specific to drums. Sometimes they're not. And there's a very big difference between whether you're miking a drum kit live for a show versus like where if I'm miking a drum kit up for recording in my studio. Different mics provide different sounds, different tones. Like say for instance, ribbon mics are going to give you more of a softer. There's not a lot of highs in it. You can hit a lot more mids and lows. I prefer those on overheads for the drum kit because the cymbals are so loud and they cut through the mix. But if you put ribbon mics on, it kind of smooths it out. You're going to want a mic that's in the kick drum that's going to be able to take the SPF, like the power. Like if you have a sensitive mic, getting all that woof from the kick drum is just going to not sound good.
Right. Now I've seen even some of the churches there that the drums has got like plexiglass around it, and now I'm thinking, now the guitar players don't have it, this over here don't have it, but the drum guy got plexiglass. Does it keep people throwing stuff at him, or what is that for?
No, I've always joked about it. You know, you got to cage the drummer. I hate those things. Most drummers I know hate those things. It's only really a thing in church because music at a concert is supposed to be loud. At church, not so much, and the drums are naturally a loud instrument. You can run a guitar direct without an amp. Unless you have electric drums, they're going to be loud, so that's why those awful plexiglass cages exist.
Well, to me, I always thought it was kind of strange, that put them behind it, because it just can't, it just seemed like he'd get feedback or something from...
No, but that's why they mic those kits. They put them behind the plexiglass. They mic the kit up that way. What the audience is hearing is what the sound engineer has mixed the drums to sound like versus the rawness of the drums.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
It's fair. I still hate it, but I get it.
Right. Now, do you have to do that in a studio?
No. You want the room sound. That's, to me, personally, like I close mic my drums in the studio, but the room sound and the overheads is really where the main sound of the drums are coming from.
Oh, okay. Now, as growing up, you got your first set of drums. You remember what kind of drums they were?
Well, my first set of drums actually was the preacher that I had watched play drums.
Right.
He took another job and left the church, and his last night there, they were having like a dinner for him or whatever, and he came to me, and I'd been playing drums on Sunday mornings and stuff, and he was like, I need you to clean these drums up for me. And I was like, damn it. So I cleaned and polished the cymbals and everything, and after he came out and had a talk with me, and he was I don't know if it was a lesson from the Bible or whatever, but something about like a carpenter had his main guy build a house while he was gone.
Right.
And the guy didn't want to do it, and he took shortcuts and didn't do it to its fullest potential. And the owner was like, you've been so good to me. You've just built your house. This is your gift.
Oh.
And then he came and told me, he's like, these are your drums now. Do you think you should have cleaned them a little better? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, so he just kind of taught you a Bible lesson directly from the Bible.
I thought that was directly from the Bible.
Yeah, that's pretty good, except it's a house, not drums. But
right.
That was great. Now, what was your very first... I know you played in some in the gospel realm, and what was your very first audience gig that you did?
On the drums?
Drums or guitar or singing or...
Well, I always sang in church from a very young age, probably 6 or 7. I think probably my first real audience, there was, I can't remember what it's, maybe it's called convention. Like churches have like big revivals where all the churches come.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember where it was, but I remember strange things. I remember not Bruce Willis. Maybe I don't remember the preacher's name. It wasn't Bruce Willis, I can assure you. I think it was Bruce somebody. Anyway, really great piano player. Anyway, for this year's convention, I got offered the drum gig for it. And that was my first time playing, like being paid to play drums in front of people. So.
Wow. So they always told me when you get paid for the first time and anything you do, you are a professional.
Okay.
Well, that's what they told me anyway. I don't know who the guy was.
I mean, I guess
that.
that's fair.
Yeah, because you're getting paid for it,
You're
so you're
providing, it's your craft, and you're providing a service.
Right.
So yeah, you should try your best to be professional about it.
That's right. Now, how old was you during that time?
I want to say maybe 12, 13.
Was you? I don't want to say scared, but kind of nervous, like.
Not really. Not to sound overly confident, but like drums is my instrument. Like that's my forte. Like I
Right.
took naturally to it. I love drums. Like I love playing guitar and writing songs and all that. But I have to think about that stuff. I have to think about drums. Like anybody could call me right now and say, "Hey, come play this gig." I'd be like, "Yep, I'll be there." Do you need a rehearsal? No, I don't. Like I'll figure it out. Like that sounds overly confident. And obviously, in some situations, I would need a rehearsal, but just a basic cover band gig that needs a drummer to hold the groove and fill it, yeah, I could do that.
Well, it kind of remind me that I forgot who sung it now. On I want to play on my drums all day, or all night.
I know the song. I don't know
and
the band.
I can't think of it right now, but I use that. I put some videos together, and I don't want to work.
Yeah.
Just play on my drums all day, and I use that for my Friday theme.
Oh, nice. That makes sense.
Yes, but when you talk about that, think about your drums all night, and it had to be a drummer that wrote that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, we're going to go to commercial right now. We just put this over right here a little bit. You are listening to Jonathan Stevens and how he got started, his love for drums, and not only the guitar, but we're going to go a little bit deeper into him a little bit because we got some. He does some things that unusual about drums, and he's going to tell you about it too, and tell you a little about his the music and the style of music, how he come with that too. So we'll be right back after these messages here. We're going to go to our commercials for Kirby's Cake Shop.
Union's #1 choice for sweets and dinner is Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 10 in the morning, closing at 5:30. Saturdays 9 until noon. 427-5779. Again, the number 427-5779. Baked spaghetti, salad, bread, dessert, and drink, a mere $9. Nathan's all-beef hot dog plate, 2 dogs all the way, a bag of chips and drink, $7. Taco salads, baked spaghetti, delicious cakes, cupcakes, cake squares, freshly baked and ready to go. Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union, 427-5779.
Okay, we're back, and you're listening to Jonathan Stevens. And Jonathan, now, this is your early stage. We was talking about how you got into music and your love for music. Now, how do you get your inspiration? And because you are a writer, you write all your music, but the style of music, what brought you to that style of music? Because you got so many different styles of country western, rock, and all this right here. What got you into that style of music?
I think it comes from, well, like you said, I don't really just stick to a specific genre, and it's because I grew up, once again, in a very religious, traditional household where we didn't listen to secular music. All I knew of music was Southern gospel, and then I'm really about to age myself here, but like when Carmen first came out, my parents were okay with Carmen, and I didn't get any secular music. I just thought that that's what it was, Southern gospel. And Garth Brooks, that he was the exception. My parents loved Garth Brooks. As I got into my teenage years, I started going to a different church. My parents weren't very happy with me because it was not of their denomination.
Right.
Which I'm not going to get into that. And I was going just because a cute girl that I wanted to date was going there.
Been there.
But that really opened my eyes to a whole different side of music, because I come from a very small church, 30 people top congregation, and this church that she attended, there was 100 kids just in the youth group alone.
Wow.
And apparently there was this whole side of Christian music that I was unaware of that was like rock and roll and pop, and blew my mind. And being a teenager, and I think this was, right before I got into punk rock and like the ska scene and all that, this all happened very quickly. But to make a long story short, the reason I write from so many different genres I'm inspired is because as soon as I was old enough to move out and didn't really have to follow the rules of my parents and like dove in to different kinds of music, and there was a whole different side of Christian music I didn't know, but I just wanted to hear all the new secular music that I'd never heard.
Right.
And because I just ate it all up, I didn't feel the need to stick to one genre. Like, I don't ever sit down to write a song. The songs come to me when they do, and however they work out best, whether it's on piano or guitar or whatever. Like, I just kind of try to make whatever I'm trying to say, I want the music to accent that feeling.
Right. Now, do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and come up with a song or some of the lyrics, something like that, think about it? Do you write that down right then, or?
I've learned to, over the last 20 years. A lot of times something will pop in my head and I'm like, oh, this is good. And I don't write it down, and then I forget it.
Right. It's kind of like a dream. If you don't write your dreams down, and the next morning you're like, well, what did I dream? My
phone has got probably close to, I probably need to clean it out, probably close to like 1,500 voice notes on it at this point, where I'll sing a melody or a line. And to be honest with you, I do that to have them, but 90% of the time when I actually do write the song, I don't ever even go back to those.
Yeah. Well, one particular song I'm going to ask you about, and that was your wedding day that you sung a song.
I did.
And I was there.
You were there. You married me and my wife.
Yes. And did you write that specifically for her?
I did. A couple months before the wedding, I was like, hey, babe, I think I want to sing a song to you on our wedding day, but I was thinking about writing one, but that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of people. I just might sing one that I've already written for you. Like, how do you feel about it? And she was like, oh, let me be clear. You are going to sing to me on our wedding day, and you are going to write a song for me that I've not heard. And I was like, all right, yes, ma'am. And I started writing it. It took a minute for it to happen, but once it did, it all came as one of those 10-minute ordeals.
Well, it's a beautiful song. And do you remember the name of the song?
Yeah. Oh, it's called Here and Now. I'm gonna release it professionally when the time is right.
Right. Well, let's see. How long you been married now?
10 years.
10 years? Oh, okay. Maybe big anniversary come up. Maybe you can release it then and dedicate it to your wife.
It's just that song is, how we talked about different inspirations and genres and vibes. That's very much like a sweet coffee house pop song, right, which just wouldn't fit on any of the records I've been putting out lately. Well,
I got to ask you this too. Have you written a song for Julian, your son?
I've not written a song specifically for him. I've written songs that involve him, they're inspired by him. I did write a song specifically for him, but then I got up the next morning and heard it again. I was like, this is garbage. One of those deals.
Yeah, but I think that you probably come up with that perfect one that you're going to say, this is it.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some different ones on the radio from the country. One where the guy was saying, his life was kind of like messed up because his wife was pregnant. There goes my life.
There goes my life. Oh,
yeah,
beautiful song.
And
love it.
And then after the baby's born, there goes my life. And it's a beautiful. I love that song. And so I got a feeling that it's going to be something like that with you. It's got to hit.
It's coming. Since he's been born, almost every song I've written either references him or is inspired. Part of it's inspired by him. Like, it's a heavy thing. If I'm gonna write a song for my son, I need it to be some life-changing fatherly advice. So right. I need it to hit hard.
Well, he's a beautiful young child. He's we have the pleasure of seeing him sometimes, and he's wide open.
Oh yeah.
And he's probably going to be a drummer because I think you already done bought him his first drum set, hasn't you?
I have, because he was already playing mine. So my home studio, I've got my live room is in the garage. Uh-huh. And it's always set up. I've always got amps out there, the drum kit set up out there. So what I used to think is my live room, now that's my son's playground. But from as soon as he could like stand up on his own, he's been wailing on the drums, and he's really good.
Right.
I don't want to sound like, oh, of course you think he's good, he's your son. No, he is, like other people's opinions, like he is better than me at 2 years old than I was at 10 years old. And I was really good. I took it really naturally.
Right.
He is better than me right now than I was then at 2.
It's in his blood.
It's in his blood.
Yeah.
That's the name of the song I'm going to write for him.
Now, your studio that you have, you've got that in your, turn your garage into a studio.
Well, yeah, the garage is converted into the live room, and I've got some stage boxes in there to where my control room is actually in the front of the house. That's where my software, and that's where I record vocals and stuff, but anything that needs to be really loud, like drum stuff, I can do that in the live room.
Okay.
So it can be monitored from the control room, and we can put a guitar amp out there, crank it up as loud as we want, and mic it, and be inside, and our ears are fine. We just listen to the studio monitors.
Great. And now, when you write your music, I don't know if you answered this or not. What is some of your inspirations for your music? I mean, does it something trigger it? Because some people say, well, a lot of great songs was written on either on the airplane or they were traveling in their bus from one place to another. What are some of your songs that you've written that come from different inspirations?
So the majority of my catalog, and this is when I write for myself, I write with other people too.
Right.
It's a lot easier, a lot less pressure. I love writing with other people. I hate when other people write with me, but I love writing with other people. But for my songs, it's really just a documentation of my life and what's happening then. And the last full album I released was in 2020 because I had a lot of free time on my hands.
Right.
But right before 2020 hit, I had made the decision in 2018 to let go of my corporate job and pursue music again for a living. And that whole record is it's called Stubborn Hearted Handbook because it's just about being a DIY musician. That's what the whole record's about. Every song on there.
Oh. Let people know how they can hear your music or purchase your music.
It's on all the streaming platforms under J. Stevens with a PH. Social media platforms are J. Stevens Songs. You can also look up Howl in the Valley, which is another band that I'm in that I've done a lot of songwriting for. And then if you want the cool vinyl records and CDs and stuff, you got to come see me live. But I play every weekend, so it's not hard.
So you make the vinyl records?
I put Stubborn Hearted Handbook on vinyl record.
Wow.
I always wanted one. I'm a big record collector. I wouldn't call myself a collector because I've got a lot, but I got albums I like, not worth a ton of money or whatever.
Well, if you went to my son's house, he lives here in Union, and he's been on the show here, and this room here would not hold the music he's got.
Really?
I'm serious. He is, and you can ask him a song, who sung it. He knows it, and even the background. Well, it didn't come from this person here. It wrote from such and such. I'm saying, wow. And we try to stump him sometimes in some of this music, and it's hard to stump him.
Yeah.
But he loves vinyl. He loves the albums. He loves the vinyl. Well, you say albums got a different sound to it.
It does, and a lot of people say that. I love the hiss, the crackle, and the pop, right?
Exactly.
That's fine. I get that, but do you know why I love an album? Because albums were made in a different time than now.
Right.
Where the only tracking they were doing was live in the studio. So 90% of the time when I track a band, we come in, we get drums tracked first. Then we come back and we add the bass. Then we come back, add the rhythm guitar, add lead, percussion, vocal. It's all done in segments. They didn't do that back in the day. It was bands in a room vibing off each other, like feeling the music. That drummer and that bass player might throw down a groove that they've never had before, and that magic's captured right there in that moment.
Right, and you're right. It's not different tracks. It's like the old school, putting it all together like that. And I just was amazed that the albums come back.
Yeah, well,
and very expensive coming back.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I've got my collection's about probably 70-30. I got 30% of old records that I love. My wife's a big Beatles fan. I'm a big Otis Redding fan. Lonely in Blue is one of the best records ever written. But I also have a lot of modern records that bands had put out when I was in high school, but now they're on vinyl, like a lot of emo, pop punk, rock and roll, 90s rock. I love that stuff because that leads me to my second reason for loving a vinyl record. They're not made to be skipped to the single. When you listen to a vinyl record, you got to drop that needle and you got to listen to the journey the artist put time and effort into letting you listen in the order he wanted you, or they, whatever, wanted you to hear the songs in. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, we're going to come back in just a moment right after this message from Kirby's Cake Shop, and we're going to find out from Mr. Stevens here, how in the valley, I want to know where that name come from. So we'll be back. We'll go right back and talk about some of the artists that he's played with and sung with, and give them some kudos too there. So we'll be right back. This is Jerry McKee with Prime Time, and you will be seeing
Union's #1 choice for sweets and dinner is Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 10 in the morning, closing at 5:30. Saturdays 9 until noon. 427-5779. Again, the number 427-5779. Baked spaghetti, salad, bread, dessert, and drink, a mere $9. Nathan's all-beef hot dog plate, 2 dogs all the way, a bag of chips and drink, $7. Taco salads, baked spaghetti, delicious cakes, cupcakes, cake squares, freshly baked and ready to go. Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union, 427-5779.
All right, we're back. I'm Jerry McKee with Prime Time. I hope you're enjoying listening to Jonathan Stevens and his journey. And we're going to find out some more things about who he's played with, who he's been connected with, because he plays all around. Every time I see, he's a different place. And so he meets a lot of people and knows a lot of people. So some of these people you might know yourself. So, Jonathan, what is the How in the Valley? How did that name come up?
Well, a little backstory. I just told you, 2018, decided to give up the corporate job and start playing music. The very first time out after giving those hours up, I went to a songwriter's night downtown Spartanburg at the Brick House Pizzeria. Did the open mic, and I met the 2 members of that band, Janine Scott and Michael Krell. I met them that night. Long story short, they started jamming on my songs with me, and in November I'd already had studio time booked for myself, and we made a record for How in the Valley. Now the name, we played for a solid 6 months just as the trio.
Right.
Because it was like, all right, we're going to finalize this. We need a name. We had a bunch of names. Couldn't figure them out. We settled on Howl in the Valley because we just felt like that was what represented us best. Because for us, we're just out here trying to sing our songs, trying to do our thing. But then when we played as a band for the place we met, the promoter wrote up a review. And he's like, Howl in the Valley made so much sense when I saw them perform. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, because I know them 3 individually, and they're all pretty chill, laid-back people. But you put an instrument in their hand and a microphone in front of their face, and you want to talk about getting loud and wild. He's like, they're howling in their peaceful valley. I was like, oh, let's go with that. I like that one.
Well, that's great. And a lot of artists kind of does something. I got to interview John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. And I asked him the same question. I said, how did you come up with the Beaver Brown Band? He said, well, we needed a name. He said, we went in our garage and we kind of just shut the doors in there and said, nobody's leaving. And said, after quite a bit of some beverages and talking, he says, there was a paint can sitting on the shelf and said Beaver Brown. So we just took that as John Cafferty and Beaver Brown Band.
Perfect.
And I said, well, sometimes you got inspirations right there in front of you that tells you. Who are some of the artists that you've actually sung with, played with, and or opening for?
So it depends. So we before How in the Valley was 2018, but from 2002 to 2012, I played drums in a band called 11-7.
Right, I remember that.
And we toured the world. Like we traveled.
You went to China, if I'm not mistaken,
Went to
right?
China, Japan, Sweden. We didn't hit every continent, but we hit a lot of them.
Right. Well, China to me was kind of blew me away a little bit when I heard you was over there because
it was different, man.
That's unusual.
Well, we had to the way it was set up, we had to lie because we were really popular in Japan and would go play their festivals. And, we'd play this one in particular called Punk Spring. It was like 30,000 people that English is not their first language, but they could sing all the words to our songs. And being in Tokyo is like going to the future. But we left one year from Tokyo after that gig to tour China for a couple weeks. Man, that was rough. I mean, every show is a plane ride, and they don't make plane rides for tall dudes like me in China. And the beds are tiny, they're hard. But when we came into customs in China, we were instructed by our label to tell them, hey, we're just here to tour and vacation. The reason we have our instruments is because we just came from playing Punk Spring in Tokyo, but we just want to tour the country. We're not playing music. Because you have to get a whole different visa. I mean, it's a communist country. So the whole tour there was very underground. We had to lug our gear and take like 2 taxis. Like, we didn't have a driver. Like, we had this one underground punk rock dude that was like taking us everywhere. And we went from playing the 30,000 person type shows in Tokyo to playing clubs in China for, 200-300 kids, which was great. And I love those kids because, if they were there, they had illegally downloaded our music because it wasn't allowed to be in their country.
Exactly. And y'all could have been locked up.
Yeah, it was crazy. People have asked me if I would tour China again. I was like, it would have to be very different circumstances.
Right.
We went very, very DIY under the radar. I wouldn't do that again.
Right.
It was they tried to keep our gear. Like, it was. I could tell you some stories. This podcast should be 6 hours if you want to hear those, though.
Oh, man. Now, what was the best country that you played in besides the United States?
Well, so Tokyo really does. It's always up there because it was,
Right.
We had such a big fan base and such a cool thing to see, to go around their cities and all that. So Japan was super cool. However, in 2012, I believe it was, we played in Germany. Mm-hmm. And one show that really sticks out in particular, we played a sold-out cathedral. And it's just, to be in those old-school, beautiful cathedrals playing a rock show, because we were a very high-energy, like pop-punk type band, and it was cool, man. That's one of the memories but I can't hate on any countries. There's some parts of the United States I don't care for.
Exactly. And, to me, it would just be wonderful that we can be freedom to go to any country in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's such beauty in every country. Seeing pictures, seeing this right here, about as close as it get, but there's just beauty all around.
Oh, yeah.
That we, because of our, I guess, selfishness and stuff as countries and things, keeping this out and that out right there, boundaries, we miss out on a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've got a whole plethora of different kinds of scenes here in the States, too. Because we spend a lot of time in the Midwest. That's very different from the Southeast. That's very different from the West Coast. Very different from the Northeast. They all have their own, little vibe that I, love and hate things about all of it.
Exactly. And you travel a lot here in the United States. What is one of your better places that you love playing, that you really just love that you got to play in?
I always really liked San Diego. Like, San Diego, California, everybody just seemed
Laid back?
stress-free. I mean, they were probably all high, but it's just, everybody was, everybody was just nice. Like, and I can't say that for all of California, but I always really enjoyed San Diego. Man.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people talk about how much they love San Diego. Yeah. It was just...
well, sometimes it's not always about the place, it's the people. There's a very small town in Rock Falls, Illinois. It's nothing special about it, it's pretty blue collar, and we used to play this kids youth center there. But man, we'd pack it out, and those kids were the best. And then we'd play in the festival there. Wasn't nothing special about Rock Falls, Illinois, but the people there are some of my favorite.
Made it special.
The promoters there, Bethany and Dealin Bland, I still remember them. Stayed at their house many times.
Well, what are some of the touring places that people can come and see you at now?
Well, now that I'm a dad, I'm not traveling like I used to. I try to come home every night while my son's still small. But I usually play, Spartanburg, Greenville, I do a good bit in Chimney Rock, North Carolina, Hendersonville, North Carolina. Just, pretty regional.
Right.
If you follow me on social media, I post every Monday what my weekend looks like, where the shows are, and 95% of the time they're always free shows. Yeah, just restaurants, breweries, bars, pubs, venues.
Right. I know that you post those because I'll see them on where you're going to be at this weekend or that weekend. I usually ask your father-in-law a little bit. I said, well, did you get to go see him? And he says, yeah, I seen him this time. I went here, and sometimes when he gets to come. Now, your artwork, the graphics that you have on some of your CDs and some of the graphics that you use in your music on social media, do you do the graphics, or do you have someone that does it for you, or?
It's mostly it's me. Like the album artwork and stuff like that, I pay people for, and then I've got a few like those really professional looking shots. I paid for those, but then a lot of it are just, iPhones are amazing, and just people take pictures, and before we were parents, my wife would come out with me a lot, and she was the best camera person. Oh yeah, she steady hand, moving videos, great pictures, and then she'd like play with the settings. And then, I got her pregnant, and she's like, "You're on your own."
Yeah, yep. My career's over. Now I've got a new career.
Yeah.
Now, does your wife ever sing with you?
No, she sings in the car and in the shower, and swears that she can't sing. But there are times where she forgets that she's in the car with me, and we'll be listening to a band, Jimmy Eat World in specific. And I just hear these beautiful, like, third and fifth harmonies coming out of the passenger seat, and I'm like, "You can sing." She's like, "It's just this one song." I'm like,
It's being a little modest, right?
Yeah.
I guess she figures there's one musician in the family is enough. And,
yeah. I mean, it's tough to have a musician in the family at all.
Well, it is, and people don't realize that because your hours, because you do work a regular job, and this is a job. It's not a just go out once a week or once a month like that to play or something. I mean, it takes a lot of work.
When it started back in 2018, I was doing the day job through the week, like bartending through the week, and gigging on the weekends. And that kept going and kept going. 2020 was looking real promising. And then obviously the world turned upside down. Amber, my wife, had just changed jobs to go on the road with me. And then everything got canceled. And so we were kind of back to square one. But back in 2022, I did give up my day job. I do music full time now.
Oh, okay.
So my day job is the studio.
Right. Well, I know that you worked at a country club, if I'm not mistaken, and so sometimes you have to take that step, and you're really good at it. And we're going to talk about your recording, and we're going to let you play here in a few minutes. And just a couple minutes. We got a couple more minutes to go before I throw a commercial in there, the last one. But people don't realize it's a hard.
It's a lot.
It's a hard job because it's not just a 9 to 5, 8 to 5. It's sometimes you're out 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, then getting up early the next morning.
I can assure you, my son doesn't care what time I get in from a gig. He's still going to wake up early when he wants to wake up.
That's right. He's not on your schedule, is he?
And you know what? I wouldn't miss it for the world because I have to be out late on the weekends. And so if I get 2 hours of sleep and he wants me to wake up and play with him, I'm more than happy to do it.
How do you balance that time? You got your wife and your child. How do you balance your time with your music and all the scheduling? It's to spend time.
Well,
quality time with them.
There was only one way to do it, and that was to quit the day job. That's why I left the country club, because now I do gig every weekend. The majority of the weeks I have clients in the studio Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Mondays, my son stays at home with me. But yeah, so now that I quit the day job, I did that because now I have dinner with my family 4 and 5 times a week. I get to be there. I get to be at home. And like I said, I do leave on the weekends. And that's tough sometimes. But, Saturday mornings have become quite special for us.
All right, let's see. Give me a second here.
Call from Julian.
Oh.
To accept, press 1.
Hello, can you hear me? I hear the dog barking.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey, buddy.
Well, if this ain't a pleasant surprise, it's Julian.
It's my son Jules on the phone.
Amber, how you doing?
Say hey.
I heard that you are a closet singer.
Me? No.
Well, I heard that you have some good tunes sometimes and a couple of special songs that you sing in the car.
No, Jonathan tells stories.
Jimmy Eat World, don't you lie.
And, and also you got another name, 007.
Oh, yes, double for sure.
And who's now? Wait a minute, is that kind of like a howl in the valley that I just heard?
It could be. That's probably Samson or Bentley. Those are my two bear
That's
cubs.
Samson's big-
Amber, as being a wife as a professional musician, how's that work with you? Does it? I know it's different than just someone going to work from 8 to 5 and things like that in the family. But how do you adjust with this? Because it takes a special person, and of course y'all both are special. And how does it work out with you?
Oh, it's some really, really long days sometimes. Usually my day starts at 4:30, and sometimes I'm up until it can be 11 trying to get Julian to finally go down. So it's just instilling a lot of faith into Jonathan, especially knowing his talent.
Exactly. Now, I know he has people coming over that's recording and stuff like that. And to me, I have special guests on Mondays and try not to have no one another 6 days a week. So how does that, I guess you'll be meeting new people and some different artists like that. How do you feel when, are you a hospitality person?
Usually I'm not home. I'm usually picking up Jules from Nana and Poppy, but in the event that I do meet them, I just kind of I stay out of the way. But then I do know most of the people that he has in the studio, so it works out.
Well, in our studios that we have, and Jonathan can tell you here, we're sitting in my den living room, and I've got cameras everywhere and got all this stuff going on, and when I get through here, I have to pack everything up and put it up and straighten everything up in the house. And
yeah,
and I kudos to my wife there because she tolerates that, but she knows Mondays is like clean up Monday.
absolutely.
So
I just let him do his thing. He's got his little room. He takes care of it. I take care of the rest of the house. He helps, but
well, that is and it's great, and I love the song he wrote about you because I heard it first, just like you did. And
it is one of my favorites.
And I'm glad you made him do that.
Oh, I know, right? He makes me sound so mean.
Oh boy, he did, and we kind of like to say that we're the boss, but we know better than that. So and now and now we know Julian's the boss.
Jules is the boss.
Yes, he is very much the boss.
Well, Amber, thank you for calling in and giving us a little bit of light of the wife perspective. And so maybe you can join us one day on the podcast and tell a little bit behind the scenes. And we're going to let Jonathan here. We're going to sing us a song in a minute. We're going to go to a commercial, and then we're going to have him bring out his guitar and play us a little tune.
Sounds good. Julian will love it.
All right. You have a great day.
Bye, bud.
Bye.
All right. You too.
All right, let me make sure I get it cut off here. It's okay, iPad. There we go. Okay, just want to make sure we got it hung up. And we're going to go to commercial right now, and Jonathan's going to play us a tune when we get back, and then we ended up with him telling us a little about his producing. I'm Jerry McKee with Prime Time, and we'll be back right after these messages.
Union's #1 choice for sweets and dinner is Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union. Open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 10 in the morning, closing at 5:30. Saturdays 9 until noon. 427-5779. Again, the number 427-5779. Baked spaghetti, salad, bread, dessert, and drink, a mere $9. Nathan's all-beef hot dog plate, 2 dogs all the way, a bag of chips and drink, $7. Taco salads, baked spaghetti, delicious cakes, cupcakes, cake squares, freshly baked and ready to go. Kirby's Cake Shop, 1222 Duncan Bypass, Union, 427-5779.
Okay, we're back with Jonathan, and he's going to play us a tune right now. And Jonathan, what's the name of this song?
Well, it's a brand new one. It's not on the streaming platforms yet, and I just thought it was appropriate because of what we were just talking about, what it's like to be 39 years old playing music for the last 25 years of my life, and how it's not easy, but it's I still want to do it because it's what puts joy in my heart. I'm just accepting the fact that I have a lot more to lose these days than I used to.
Exactly, but that just makes you work harder, right?
Right.
There's Jonathan. Let's listen to him.
There's a new one called Younger, Wilder Days. I don't get sick, I don't cry. Can't afford to, ain't got the time. I don't sleep enough, Lord, it takes a toll. It's a hard way to live, but it's all I know. In younger, wilder days, I was baptized in sacrifice. I could do whatever it takes. I could risk it all, suffer the loss, and blame it on the chase. In younger, wilder days, both my folks worked my whole life, just treading water on the poverty line. I didn't want to end up like them, but I could feel the water just beneath my chin. In younger, wilder days, I was baptized in sacrifice. I could do whatever it takes. I could risk it all, suffer the loss, and blame it on the chase. In younger, wilder days. My heart is where my woman keeps her faith, and our son's watching every move I make. And I ain't nowhere near where I thought I'd be in this retail version of a young man's dream. Younger, wilder days, I was baptized in sacrifice, do whatever it takes. Now I'm still trying to outrun time, but I'm losing the race. 'Cause I know these ain't younger, wilder days.
All right. Great, great. That's a beautiful song. Wow, I bet Julian's just dancing around on that one. That's a beautiful song. Our last 5 minutes, I think we got about 5 minutes or so here yet to go. Now, not only are you playing music, going out and playing all these events and avenues, you are a producer now of music. And that takes a whole different set of skills to do. Not anyone can do just music. Not anyone can do just producing. And sometimes, if you're a musician, you can't do producing. So, what is some of the challenges that you have as being a producer of music?
Well, the producing thing has kind of been like the music thing, which I've always had this theory, this mantra. If you want to be great at something, keep doing it until you're great at it. And that's how the producing thing I'm still learning every day. It's a new thing. And it seems like every record I produce or every single I produce, I feel like I learn something new, get a little better, which I'm loving the producing thing. I get to, a lot of my clients want a full band record, but they don't have a band. So I get to be in everybody's band. It keeps me playing drums. It's made me learn to play bass better. Get to play a little guitar, but I really love writing. And like I said earlier, when I'm helping arrange a song, they'll bring me a song and I'm like, all right, let's try this, try these lyrics. I love doing that. And I wish I could learn to do that better with myself. Bring somebody else in, hey, help me write the song to meet its fullest potential. But I'm having a blast with the producing, and I just invest in my studio slowly but surely. I'm probably coming up on I'll be 2 years in pretty soon, maybe a year and a half.
Now, do you have different musicians, not on speed dial, but in your
session players? Absolutely,
right,
they're on speed dial.
that comes in and say, like you said, some artist doesn't have a band. Do you give them the music ahead of time, or let them know a little bit before they come, or?
It all depends on the situation, but I do have a couple session players. I got a couple guys I like to use for bass. I got a couple guys I like to use for guitar. Even Janine, I've had her put harmony on people's records. Because a lot of people don't have access to all that. And when they do have a band, that doesn't necessarily mean that band knows how to work in the studio. Not every drummer can play to a click. Not every guitar player knows how to stay in tune. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I have a couple of people that I really like to call on in the time of.
Now, you mentioned, you just mentioned her name.
Janine.
Janine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she sings with you sometime.
Mm-hmm. She's in Howl in the Valley.
Oh, okay.
So she and I, we're currently, this year, we've been writing a new Howl in the Valley record. She and I have.
Oh, okay.
That's why we haven't been playing as much lately.
Right.
Because she's got a solo project like me.
Okay. Now, when you're talking about producing, sometimes, and I heard you say earlier about that you might have a drummer come in and play a track, then you have someone else to come in. Is it hard to do it that way, or is that just the norm?
You mean, is it hard to tell somebody their part wasn't good enough?
Well, no. Is it hard to put it together because you're doing them not all together at one person? You're doing like a guitar solo here, and this next one come in. Did you had to do it that way, or?
No, I do it that way a lot, but it's not that hard because I use the people I use for a reason, because we communicate well and they trust me.
Right.
And I'm saying this may not make sense now, but I've got this whole vision of the end song in my head.
Exactly.
They trust me. I trust them. I can sing a part to them, and they'll just play it right back to me. Because I'm not a theory guy. I can't be hey, do the seventh dissonant of blah, blah, blah. I'm hey, this is what I want. Da-na-na-na-na.
Right.
They just play it right back.
Yeah, and when I've done commercials before and or even campaign ads like that, they look and it doesn't make sense to them because I'll shoot right here, so I want this one over here just to kind of shoot that a little bit there, and then I'll start putting it together, adding lower thirds and transitions and all this right here. So I know where you're coming from there when you say, your vision, what the end is, and people trust you to do that.
That's the hard part as a producer, is getting the artist to trust me.
Right.
And because, so far I've had luck with them trusting me. It's been a hard battle to fight, but they always at the end okay, you were right. You were right.
Well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
Hey, man, I had a blast. Thank you for having me.
That hour goes by pretty quickly.
It does.
And tell people where they can find you, and either to get you as a producer or at their next event. Let people know how they can find you.
My main social media platforms I use are Facebook and Instagram, and that's just j.stevens songs, PHN Stevens. And I also have a website that's jstevensongs.com. Has all the contact info on there.
And actually, they can listen to some of your bits of your music. That's where I went on and listened to some earlier today.
All my music is on there. If you just search j.stevens on the link tree, that will give you access to all my platforms in one spot. That's a QR code I use when I'm out live, but I think you can just search it on linktree.com.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you coming and being with me here. I'm going to switch over right here just a second. Thank you for watching. And next week, Miss Humphrey's going to be coming, and another musician, and she's a little bit on the different genre. And she goes to college, but she's got a lovely voice, and she'll be bringing her guitar too and play a song. And stay tuned each Monday at 7 o'clock, and we'll be here with someone else coming, and you know who's going to be next surprise. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and I am going to turn my head away from you a second, and glad you got to come and see us and bring us into your living room, or at least into your computer.